And when you do that, will you tell everyone to make sure their phone's silent?
Yeah. All right, listen up. Silent your phones. Don't have them going off. Coach Robbins is going to talk to us. Who's Coach Robbins? Coach Robbins coached with Otto and I at Concord for a year. He's been there for 3 years. He coached Addie, Mayo, Angus, Carlton, and a few others. All right? Phenomenal dude. He's going to come up here. He also was the head coach at Worcester Tech for a while. Coach?
Yes, sir.
And coached at West Boylston when they won some Super Bowl. Okay, so he's been around. He's going to come up. He's going to talk to us for a bit. Everyone, please show him some respect. Listen to him. He's got a lot to say. And actually internalize what he's saying and break it down. Because it can really make a fucking difference in your life if you pay attention and listen to what he's saying. So, Coach Robbins, it's all you.
Okay. So bear with me today. This is, I know you're in the dark. It's a little bit of an unorthodox setup here. This is really meant to be kind of in a auditorium or conference room or what have you. So just bear with me. Hopefully we can have no issues with the sound and audio, but it looks like we already do because there should be music playing, but it's all good. We're gonna just roll with the punches. So, as Troy just said, my name is Derek Robbins. I'm a high school football coach. Was the head coach at Worcester Tech. I've been around, mainly a defensive guy, and I really can't thank you guys enough for being here. I appreciate it. I know some of you worked out today, and so for the fact that you guys came back here to listen to me talk to you, I really want to tell you how much that means to me. I thank you so much for that. That's why you saw that food downstairs. So that's kind of how I am as a coach. I try to not be a coach that like prints t-shirts and says, hey, we're family, and then treats everybody like dog crap. I believe that you're only as good as what you do as a team. Doesn't matter about your slogan. What are you doing? So when I was at Worcester Vogue, I fed the kids every day. I fed them at weight room. I fed them after practice. And that got me the buy-in I needed to turn that program around. So thank you again for being here. I really, really appreciate that. What the hell is this? What are you going to get out of this today? Well, I'm going to tell you. So this is like if we leave here today, if we can do one thing and just understand you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. You don't know what people are carrying, man. Think about that. Like, it's easy to say that, but if you really live it, it's pretty heavy. You don't know, man. It could be your best friend, could be a teammate, could be a coach you work with every day. He leaves you, she leaves you. You don't know what's going on there, man. So be nice. Be nice. It's really, really easy. It's the easiest thing you can do in life is fucking be nice. I want you to think about that. So when we leave here, it's really like, how do you treat the guy that cleans the calf at your school? How do you treat the guy that's weed whacking outside? How do you treat the lady, she's not even your teacher. You see her walking through the hall every day. That's what this is about. You are committed to yourselves. You're in college, most of you. Most of you are either playing sport, did play sport, and you're still training here. And that's great. It's great to be committed to yourself, great to have goals. But to get to that next level, you got to start dealing with this stuff. It's easy. This country, society in general, very good at labeling stuff. They label stuff, and then they walk away. Everybody does it. This isn't me hating on anybody. And before we get too far, just understand, I'm not here preaching to you. This isn't me saying, hey, do what I do and you're going to have success. It's actually the opposite, to be honest with you. Like I raised my son, and at first he didn't get it, and he wasn't a big fan of me saying it, but after a while he did. And what I used to tell him was, don't do what I did. Don't be me. And you're going to find out through my life story here we're about to go through what I mean by that. But don't be me. Don't make the mistakes I made. So we're going to talk a lot about trauma today. And one thing, the last thing I'll leave you with in this intro that I want you to understand is if you are somebody or you do know somebody that is struggling, here's when they label stuff and then they don't deal with this. That doesn't give those people or you a right to treat other people like crap. And I had to learn that the hard way. And that really, in essence, is the hardest part of this conversation we're going to talk about. Like, it's okay that you're struggling, but that doesn't mean you can act like an asshole. That doesn't mean you can project your bad feelings onto other people. So that's what this is about today. And I want to thank you guys for being here. I'll try to get you out of here as quick as we can. Let's see if we can get the audio to work. I did have it working. Not going to work. All right. So we'll do it without the music. Now, music, the reason I have music and these photos as part of the program, other than the fact that I'm a knucklehead, and when I wrote this program, I said to myself, how am I going to get in front of people and keep myself organized? Well, here it is. So we go through chapter and verse here, right? But also, music is a huge part of my life. And I'm not a musically inclined dude, but I love music. And one of the things that I learned to use in my life to kind of ground me, get me to not smash my hand through a wall, was music. And I've used music my entire life. Every day in my house, music is on. If my kid came down at breakfast on a Sunday and there weren't Dead tunes playing, he was like, hey, wait, whoa, what's going on? What's wrong? So that's why you're going to see the photos. You're going to see, well, you would have heard music. I don't know what the hell I did with it. But at any rate, traumatic living. That's the next chapter and verse here is traumatic living. And so for us, for me as a kid, traumatic living was really domestic violence. And it was in our face. I have 3 siblings, 2 older sisters and an older brother. And like, when I tell you domestic violence, I mean in your face every day. No breaks. Never a good day. There was never a good day. A good day for us was probably hell for most of my buddies. Okay, so that's what traumatic living is. And I tell people like, hey, I didn't go to college, right? I didn't. But if they were giving out degrees for traumatic living, I'd have a doctorate. So we're going to talk about trauma, what that does to you as an individual, how it makes you act, how it makes you feel, how it makes you treat other people. And so when we go through this, I want you to keep in mind, trauma, there's really 2 forms of trauma. There's like physical outward trauma, which we're definitely going to get into in a second here. And then there's that quiet emotional trauma, which we'll also get into. And like, again, I'm not trying to be corny, guys. I get it. There's like, you know, we're in the world of football and we're constantly talking about toughness. How do you be physically tough and mentally tough? Well, I'm here to tell you, like, part of being mentally tough is to open this wound up and deal with it. So, traumatic living. So I called it Friday Night Live. So you're going to find out as we go through my story here. At a very, very early age, 5, 6 years old, I kind of realized, like, we're different. Like, we're different than my friends. Like, and it's easy, like, you know, you're poor. We were definitely poor. But things were different. And so I kind of started to raise myself almost right away. A lot of times in my alone time, I was in here trying to figure out how the hell I was going to get through that day. Okay, so traumatic living. We called it Friday Night Lives. That's what I called it. So Friday nights at my house started out fantastic. My parents had just gotten paid. They were going to be going out. So they were in a good mood. Nobody was getting their ass kicked yet. It was good. And we knew we were going to eat that night. So it was good. Started out fantastic. The problem with Friday Night Live is when they came home, when the night was over. And I'm going to give you a very specific example of Friday Night Live for me. So we lived in this apartment, and 3 of us were in one room. And it really wasn't a bedroom, but it was a room, and it had 2 doors. And the 2 doors were open. There was one bed in the room. My dad had come home. You could hear them both coming up the stairs. We were in like a, 3-family apartment in Marlboro. And you could hear it. And it was like, this is going to be bad. You knew. So my brother and I are under the bed. It's like out of a movie, guys. We're literally under the bed looking out. And my dad started to physically assault my mom at a level which nobody should be looking at, especially 6-year-old kid. And so this particular night, it just seemed to go on and on and on. Wasn't going to stop. So my older sister, she had the back room. She came out. She had enough. She got assaulted. My other sister went out because she saw my sister get assaulted. She wasn't having it. She got assaulted right away. He was on a rampage. I couldn't move. I was scared, man. I was under that bed for a reason. My brother said, nah. He ran out of our room. The problem with that decision is my father at that point launched a couch across the apartment, hit my brother in the arm, broke his arm. Crazy, scary. My sisters gathered us up. Boom, let's get the hell out of here. We run to the neighbor's house. And it's weird in a lot of ways because I'm pissed at my dad, right? My brother's literally got a broken arm. My mom was on the floor. We didn't know what her condition was. She was bloody on the floor. The cops started to come in, and I'm looking out that window of my neighbor's house, and I'm talking 6 cops, guns drawn. And what that does to you as a 6-year-old, you go from being pissed at your dad, now I'm scared for him. I'm not scared for me anymore. I don't want them to hurt my dad, even though he's a piece of crap. And that was really a traumatic night, obviously, but it was really the start of even more traumatic nights. Soon after that, my dad was, he left the home. He left us. And, you would think, hey, that's a good thing. And in a lot of ways, it really was. But that led to a lot of disastrous things to come in my life. And at this point, I want to talk to you quick before we go to the next chapter. Remember I talked to you about the quiet trauma, the emotional trauma? This one I think a lot of people can relate to because it happens, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be poor like we were, where your parents were substance abuse, and you can be well off in a really nice community, and this can happen to you. So we're in the car. My mother's got to go meet my dad to get money. And so here's this dude, they pull up, and he's in a car with some other woman and 2 other kids. And I'm looking out the car, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I got my ass kicked for the first 7, 8 years of my life. And now this dude wants to be with them? He likes them more than he likes me? What that does to you, I don't know if I can adequately explain it to you, but that was in a lot of ways worse than the Friday Night Live I talked to you about. And think about that when I'm telling you this, I really want to try to connect it to what you deal with. I think everybody kind of knows, like, somebody that might have parents that are divorced. It might be somebody here, right? And like, yeah, dude, your parents got divorced, whatever. But there is some trauma under there. It sucks. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, be mindful of your people. But not only your people, but be mindful of everybody. That guy who's cleaning the calf at the school, right? The lady ringing the register at the Dunks. Be mindful of that. People have that kind of trauma in their life every day, all the time. Let's go to the next chapter. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Outrun them. It's the next sort of part of my life. And so, like, at this point in my life, if you can picture this, right? I'm getting bullied. We're dirt poor. My dad's gone. We're barely making it. I'm going to school. My clothes are dirty, so they stink. They smell. You know, I don't have matching shoes, and if I did, they were riddled holes. Like, you know, all my guys, I tell this part of the story, like, most of the dudes I knew, like, this is when Jordans first came out. So these dudes are rocking Jordans, right? And here's Robbins, dirty clothes, Brooks that he got at, you know, Kmart. Like, it sucked, man. It's hard. And so in this part of my life, we started to, like, bounce around. And what I mean by that is the state came in and took us from my mother. And it was a wrap. She couldn't do it. And so, like, they tried keeping me and my brother together. They thought that, like, they were doing us a favor. And I'll get into that a little bit. But, you know, we were bounced around. My two sisters were lucky. They both got placed with family members, and they were able to stay with those family members. It worked out for them. But if you can imagine, right? Like, you got two dudes. I'm like 9 at this point. My brother's 10 and a half. Like, we were a pain in the ass. So we were bouncing around. It's just how it kind of went for us. And, like, it was okay at the beginning, certainly better than where we were. One night, boom. Grab a trash bag, throw all your shit in your trash bag. Get in the car, social worker. So you guys know DCF now, right? It was DSS back then. So we get in the car with the social worker, got everything I own in a trash bag. Boom. Now we're in a foster home. So this kind of leads me, some of the guys who played for me, I think Matt definitely, you older guys, I wasn't the DC at the time, so I don't know how much of this I got into when I was coaching you. But I want you guys all to carry this the rest of the way through this presentation. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, man. And, like, it's a harsh statement if you really think about it. And, like, I know there's some, like, football teams and other teams who use it like nobody cares, block harder, right? This isn't that. I'm going to get into what nobody cares started for me. So we get to the foster home. We get put down in the basement. Now, these people were loaded. Don't get me wrong. This wasn't a bad foster home. They had money. But we get put downstairs. get in the bedroom, put my trash bag on the floor, lay on the bed. I go out quick. I was exhausted. The next morning hit. I'm staring up at the lights, and I'm 9 years old now, man. I'm 9. Think about what you were doing when you were 9. Think about what you would want your kid to be doing when they're 9. I'm 9 years old. I wake up at this foster home, and I told you, I was raising myself. And I'm like, dude, nobody cares now. You ain't got an aunt and an uncle that care. You got nobody. Nobody cares. And that's me, 9 years old. I'm saying that to myself. And I said, I gotta make this work. I gotta go out this door. I gotta face these people. And I gotta make my life work because nobody else wants to make me work. 9 years old. I was raising myself at this point. And it was hard, very hard, to have that reality of like, hey, now Aunt Chiquita and Uncle Bobby, and those are real names, by the way, but they don't even care anymore. I'm on my own at 9. And that's what I did. I walked out that door at 9 years old, and I made it work with those people. And, you know, it was hard. Soon after that, before we get to the next chapter, soon after that, like my mother did this, and this is another kind of piece of trauma that, again, you don't know what people are carrying. So like, hey, the state said you're going to go back and live with your mother. Same scenario, get all your stuff together. Social worker pulls in, he's going to take you. And you would think, hey, that's great. Like you're no longer at the foster home, right? You're going to be reunited with mom. Well, I'm going to tell you the real truth of it. And again, 9 years old, I'm getting to be 10 at this point, but I knew, and I was right on the money. She took me back because she wanted cash. She wanted the food stamps. She wanted the monthly clothing checks. She wanted the assistance a single mom would get from the state, welfare. That's why she took me back. She didn't take me back to scoop me up. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. She took me back because of that. That's a hard one. Because now, like I said, I'm about 10 now. I got to go live with this lady and act like it's mommy. But I know in the back of my mind, more bad things are coming. And they definitely did. Go to the next chapter. Okay. So now I'm back with my mother. And when we first got back with her, again, the state, like, hey, let's keep the boys together. So there's me and my brother. We get put back with my mother, just so you can kind of visualize this. It's basically a rooming house. That's what it was. It's a rooming house. This guy in Marlboro, Frank might know, but guy named Jerry Dumas, okay? He had all these rooming houses. And it's like literally one room, that's what you're living in, and then there's a common area bathroom out in the hallway. So you got, you know, my mother, me and my brother in one room. So, you know, she was able to get us out of there because, again, she got the cash, right? Like my clothing check wasn't going for clothes, guys. It was paying like rent and this and that. So we kind of get out of that, and now we're up at this like one of the biggest low-income housing facilities in the city of Marlboro. And we're living there, and here comes sort of what I call the Home Alone part of my life. Everybody know the movie Home Alone? Well, I was ahead of Macaulay Culkin there. I was way ahead of that dude. Like, I had Home Alone tied up in like 87. So what would happen is my mom would disappear. And worse than her, and I say that like with all the love in my heart, but my brother disappeared too. So she come home, it was sort of a different version of Friday Night Live. All right, here you go, guys. It's 20 bucks each, 25. I'm out. So I got 20, 25, maybe 30 bucks. My brother's gone before I can even figure out what my next step is. He's out the door. I would have to make that, and I knew, I'm like, these two, they're out of here. Like, I didn't know when I was going to see my brother again. I kind of knew my mother. It was like, 3 to 6 days. If it went on longer than 6, I might have called the cops. But it never really got past 6 days. It was like 3 to 6 days. I knew she was gone. So I would literally take that money. I'd go up to the 7-Eleven strip mall in Marlboro. My first stop was the takeout Chinese joint. Get the biggest meal you could get. Then I would take the rest of the cash, go into 7-Eleven, buy as much as I could with the rest of it, go back to the apartment, and make that work until somebody came back. And what that does. Now remember, she left on a Friday, she might not be there Monday, Tuesday, maybe come back Wednesday. I had to put my ass on the bus and go to school, man. I knew I had to go to school. Again, I was raising myself. And so what that does, what's that look like? And you probably all had a kid who struggled when you were at school, right? And people what's wrong with this kid? Well, imagine me going to school in the current situation I was in. Not good. I went from being bullied to now I'm the bully. I'm the bully now. And I was a very damaged and dangerous little boy. So I'm in 5th grade. In 5th grade coincided with that Home Alone life that I was living. And I'll tell you, 5th grade was a rough, rocky year. A couple of things. Started off the school year, thought it would be a good idea. Some kid brought a smoke bomb to school. They needed some knucklehead to light it off. Okay, I'll do it. Light the thing off, put it in a Pringle can. You know those desks that used to, well, you guys might not know them, but us old guys, they used to have the front-loading desks. So I stuff it in a Pringle can, stuff it in the desk. I mean, this thing, I thought it was a freaking firecracker. It's a smoke bomb. The whole school had to be evacuated. And it didn't take long. Robbins. So part of that year, a real eye-opening incident in my life. I physically assaulted one of my 5th grade teachers badly. This isn't me pushing a teacher. I landed haymakers on this dude. Bad. I'm not proud of it. I'm not. But it's part of the story. I got to tell you. I lit this dude up. And now the school's F this kid. We're in a hearing. It's me and my messed up mother. So the odds aren't good for me, right? This is probably going to end poorly. Sam Duca. Sammy Duca. And I want to say that name. I don't expect anybody here to know except for maybe my friend Frank here, but Sammy Duca, the assistant principal at the time at the elementary school. That dude stood up in that hearing and said, hey, they were shipping me out. I was going to an alternative. They wanted me to live in a residential. I was out. I was going to have to live there, go to school there, get like psychiatric treatment there. They had enough. Sammy Duca stood up and said, I got this kid. I got him. Give him one more chance. And because Sammy Duca did that, I did the rest of that 5th grade year, right off the bus, Sammy Duca's office. No lunch in the calf, lunch in Sammy Duca's office. End of the day, Sammy Duca walked me to the bus. That dude saved me. He saved me. You can't do life alone. You can't. And I would not be where I am without Sam Duca. Sam Duca saved me that year, man. And that led into some other very good things in my life. Sam Duca was the first male adult in my life that I could trust, that I could be with, rely on, I wasn't scared of. He saved me. Luckily for me, Sam Duca ended out his career, right? So he went, by the way, quick side note on Sam Duca, just so I can. Sam Duca played in the NFL for the then Washington Redskins under Vince Lombardi. Just a quick side note on Sammy Duca. Want to give him his props. But he got transferred to the middle school when I went up, and then his last 3 years of his career, he ended up working as an in-building sub at the high school. So I had Sammy Duca from that 5th grade year all the way to the end. Somebody up there was looking out for me to keep that man right in my life. So we go to the middle school now, and I had one more really rough placement because obviously Home Alone, that caught up to my mother. Like we went to that meeting, right? And, you know, the school and the city were like, all right, there's something wrong at the Robbins house. So we got taken again from my mother. I had a rough little placement that I went to, but then I finally ended up with the people that actually, again, you can't do it alone. My Uncle Dan and my Aunt Melissa, they saved my life, man. I showed up in their doorstep like middle of 6th grade. And that's where I ended. I didn't get bounced around anymore. Okay? But when I got to middle school, this is the judgment day part of this. When I got to middle school, the second nobody cares moment in my life happened. And it's a hard one. So, you know, things are good. I'm with Uncle Danny, Aunt Melissa. Now I'm playing sports. I'm at the Boys and Girls Club in Marlboro. I'm functioning now. You know, my clothes aren't dirty anymore. My shoes don't look like crap. I'm functioning. It's 8th grade year, man. April vacation. Things are good. Real good. So it's the middle of the night. And it's loud, ruckus outside. And, you know, I omitted this at the beginning. Like, I can't hear you, the name of this presentation, by the way. That was the first piece of trauma in my life. And I'll give it to you quick. Young kids, right? We all had them, ear infections. Your parents take you to the doctor, right? Sometimes you got to go get the tubes. Sometimes it's just fixed with drops. That didn't happen for me. Didn't happen. So I'm legally deaf in my right ear here. I can't hear you. Some of these guys know that all too well. But that was the first trauma. It was neglect. And that is physical trauma. To this day, Like we were 13 when I got to Aunt Melissa. She fixed it. She took me 4 surgeries later, no more infections, but they can't get the hearing back. Anyway, so second nobody cares moment. Like I told you, middle of the night, loud out there. I look outside, and when I tell you there were cops out there, I don't mean there were a couple cops. There were police departments out there. Car after car, lights, as far as I could see, all surrounding Uncle Danny's house. And I looked down, guess who's back? My father. So I'm looking at this dude, I'm like, this guy, back in my life, drunk again, and it looked like, now guys, I'm just telling you, like this dude was covered in blood. Covered. And he had a knife in his hand. So I'm thinking bar fight, like that's, that came to my mind. So I go out my bedroom door, there's Uncle Danny. Now Uncle Danny was not only the second male adult that came into my life that I could trust and felt safe with, he was the guy. He ended up being my guy. And I said to him, I go, Uncle Danny, he goes, Derek, I got this. Go back to bed, I got this. So that's what I did. I felt safe, I trusted Uncle Danny. And I was like, you know what, screw that, he's right. This guy he's drunk, it's April vacation. I'm having a good week. So I did, I went right back to bed. So I wake up that next morning, boogieing down the stairs, right? April vacation. I get to the kitchen and it ain't good. Uncle Danny and Aunt Melissa didn't go to work. My 2 sisters are there. Something bad went down. My dad had committed a murder that night, the night before. And, what are we going to do? Like, I didn't do anything, right? But, like, to explain this to you, so, like, when my family acted up, it just was out there for everybody in the city. It was either A, in the paper, this particular time, not only in the paper, but on the 5 o'clock news. So there was no hiding this. What's next? Second nobody cares moment, man. I knew. And again, like, my aunt and uncle were awesome. But 5-year-old Derek was never letting anybody, didn't matter who, run his life. I was running it. From that Friday Night Live on, I was running my life. And so I knew April vacation's gonna end, man. Gonna end. Gotta go back to school. Gotta go back to school. And the easy thing, I would have got excused, like, the school would have probably been like, yeah, take your time, buddy. Don't, don't rush. We're here. And it would have been all good. But I wasn't having that. I had to go back to school. I got on that bus, and I'm going to give you a quick side note. We're almost done with this segment. Quick little side note. My dad had killed his second wife. Okay? He did that. Her daughter is in the grade below me, same school. She's in my school. Not only that, the night he did it, she was in the apartment. And, another quick caveat to this, her friend is a lifelong family friend of ours. I still know the girl to this day. They were both in the apartment. I had to go to school. I had to get off that bus. Nobody cares. And then, you know what got me off the bus? It's like, dude, stop feeling bad for yourself. What about that girl? What about her? And so that's what I did. I got off that bus and walked into that school. The hardest thing I ever did, man. Nobody cares. Okay. Rebuilt. And again, the lighting is tough in here, but like if you look at this x-ray here, I know you can't see it as well as I would like you to. That's this leg right here. That's that knee and femur. I've had the unfortunate luck of I broke both femurs, not at the same time. One very young, and then this one here, this x-ray, this was 2022, this baby. Happened at football practice, actually, football camp. I was coaching, 2 kids right into the side of my leg. Broke the kneecap, broke the femur. She left a mark. Rebuilt, man. And so like, rebuilt, it's not like, hey, you know, hey, look at me, I'm fixed now, I'm rebuilt. Rebuilt is a daily thing. We do that every day. Every day you got to rebuild yourself. I really would impress upon you to think about that. Each day in your life's different. Good day, good practice, game day. Some games are great, some aren't so great, right? Class, some exam went real well, some exam didn't go real well. And we'll talk about what I do on a daily basis to rebuild myself. But I want to give you this. So like, when you have a parent like I did, right? So you're DCF involved, and your parent does something like my dad did, you're going to get shipped to mandatory counseling, gentlemen. You got no choice. You got to go. The state mandates it. Because, like, I'm living with my aunt and uncle, but, like, my legal guardian is the state of Massachusetts. So they mandated it. So there I go. I'm pissed now. I'm not a happy person. I'm sitting in this counselor's office, and like that dangerous, damaged little boy starting to creep back in. What am I doing here? I didn't do anything to anybody. I'm being punished for what my friggin' dad did. I'm pissed. I'm going to tell you how it changed me. And I press upon you, talk, man. Talk. I know it's not easy. It's easier said than done. I totally get that. And like, it's easier to not talk. It's hard to talk about your stuff, right? It really is. I'm sitting there with this counselor, and you know, like the second session, halfway through, and he's like, hey man, I'm good. I'm gonna get paid no matter what. I'm gonna check the box. You showed up today. That's all I gotta do. I'm good. He said, let me tell you something. I got it right here. The stats, they tell us you're gonna either end up in prison, end up dead, and if you just so happen to get lucky enough to not do one of those two, you're probably going to find somebody and abuse them and neglect them like your parents did to you. That's what that dude said to me. I'll tell you what, dude. Right there, I can't explain to you, but like I told you, I was raising myself. I did a lot of that right here. That dude motivated me. He motivated me. I said, all right, dude, I see what you're saying. Nah. And I started to talk. From that day forward, instead of doing it right just here, I started doing this. That guy planted the seeds for what I am right now. He motivated me. By the time I was done with that guy, right, like, we were shooting hoop outside his office. Like, he got me to open up. He got me to not only open up, but look at myself. And what that led to is when I got into my adult years, I really mastered that. And what I want to talk to you about, we'll go to the next chapter real quick, how to do that. Triggers. Everybody kind of hears that word. I don't know if you're familiar with it, right? But triggers and skills. It's really widely used in, the mental health field. And so, what's a trigger and what's a skill? And like, I was even at one point, like, somebody, especially nowadays, like you hear a lot of it, like, oh, I'm triggered. And people are like, yeah, guy, get over it. But it's actually a very legitimate thing. And if you can sort of identify what triggers you, and really what trigger is, guys, if we're going to keep it real here, like what pisses you off? What sets you off? If you can identify that, that's a huge tool for you. Huge. And I'll give you a simple one, right? So come home and I'm an adult now. We got a kid, my wife. We're not rich. We're not. I'll be the first to tell you that. But we got stuff. But if I go in and I open the cabinet and there's we haven't been to the grocery store in 6 days or so and things are down a little, or we don't have we're going to have hot dogs that night and there's no mustard in the house. That would set me off, man. It put me back from not the adult Derek, put me right back to 6-year-old Derek where there wasn't shit in there. Boom. I'm pissed. And my wife looks at me like, hey, guy, relax. We'll go buy some. And that's what a trigger is. And what is a skill? And really, when I say skill, it's a coping skill. It's really what it is, guys. It's what can help you in those times that you are struggling? It can be very easy, even though I screwed it up today. I don't know how. I had this music blasting before you guys got here. I don't know what happened. But, it can be that simple. Music. I use music all the time as a coping skill. Or cooking. Another easy one. You saw downstairs. I cook. Especially if something's going on in my life, right? I'll tell you right now, I made a hard decision recently that I'm going to step away and not coach this fall. And it's got me all screwed up. Because coaching, and I'm going to get into it in a minute, coaching in itself is a coping skill for me. So now I have made the choice. I took my own coping skill away from myself. So all summer, I've been cooking for an army. So it's a good thing we had this today, so I could do that. But that's what a trigger and a coping skill can be. And I want to I know you guys are all, at school, or if you do still live at home, but you got a lot of alone time. Really figure out, A, what gets me, what triggers me, and then B, what are some skills I can use to keep myself grounded, keep myself from having an episode. Okay, let's go to the next chapter. Look at that guy. Look at this kid. You can't really see it gets cut off, but that's the, Troy, that's the Wing Eagle right there, championship belt. That's from like, you know, when Hogan had it and Macho Man Savage, not these weird ones they have today. That's legit. Stand alone. Stand alone. And what stand alone is like really figuring out who you are. Getting comfortable with who you are. And the reason I want to bring this to you is because, like, trauma, man, trauma don't care. Like, I'm standing alone. My aunt and uncle, Sammy Duca, they all put me in a good position. Things are good. Trauma don't care, man. It don't play. It'll get you, whether it's my parents' fault or it's my own life. I'm going to bring you to 2012. We're making good time. I'll get you guys out of here, I promise. 2012. And it really kind of started before then, but 2012 was sort of the drop dead year in my adult life. So 2012 started out, lost my job. Yeah, you know, everyone loses a job, not a big deal. Lost my dog. Yeah, you know, it sucks, but I think most of us have been through that. Lost my truck. And that thing was a beauty. Beauty. Lincoln pickup. I called it the Lincolnator. Thing was awesome. She's gone too. Then my wife lost her job. Soon after that, we lost the house. We're back at it again, gentlemen. Trauma. It found its way right back square in my life. So all that happened, and I mean, I'm not exaggerating. That was like boom, 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 boom. Like it was on. All of it happened. And luckily, like the rebuild that we just went through, and I talked to you about like figuring out how to cope, how to deal. Luckily, I had done that. The other thing for me was, it took me a minute, but I said, you know what? This is on me. This is my fault. This isn't my parents' fault anymore. This is me. So I looked at my wife, and I started coaching. I had already been coaching for a while. And like, I knew I still wanted to coach. I knew I had to. Made me feel good. Like I told you guys, it became a coping skill. So I said to my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to get into youth services. Now, I was a heavy equipment operator, guys. 13 years. I was making good money, worked for a couple of really good agencies. Like, it was good. But when that all happened, in my mind, I said, you know what? I'm doing the wrong thing. And I thought about Sammy Duca. I thought about that guy again. Assistant principal. And I said, I want to do what he did. And I started to talk myself into the fact that it was my fault that I lost my job. I wasn't doing the right thing. I wanted to be Sammy Duca. And I wanted to coach. So I said to her, I'm going to get into youth services and I'm going to coach. Now, we just lost everything. You would think this girl would look at me and say, Guy, I'm out of here. Like, you're nuts. But she didn't. She didn't. She said, well, see if you can make it work. So there I go. I'm down at the unemployment office. And I tell this woman my plan. Tell her, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go get in youth services, and I'm going to coach high school. And then one day, I'm going to coach high school, and I'm going to work full-time in that high school. Remember how understanding my wife was when I told her my plan? Yeah, well, this lady, he wasn't that understanding. She didn't buy it. And I'm going to tell you guys, she laughed in my face. Literally laughed in my face. I'm a man at this point. I'm in my 30s. This woman laughed in my face. Nobody cares. It hit me right again. It hit me instantly. She laughed in my face and she said, sir, you didn't go to college. That's never going to happen. You should go to waste management and apply to run heavy equipment for them. You'll have a job next week. That's what she said to me. And thankfully, I didn't, say anything or do anything that I shouldn't have. I just, in my mind, I said, all right, lady, I see you. Nobody cares again, huh? I took my little slip. Out the door I went. Nobody cares. And I'll tell you, that lady laughing at me was sort of like that counselor who motivated me, told me I was going to end up like my parents. So I started at the bottom in youth services. I was making $12.50 an hour, $12.52 to be exact. $12.52 an hour, working overnights at a residential facility. And I was coaching at West Boylston High School. And I'll tell you what, every day, I would tell myself, I'm going to coach, I'm going to do this, I'm going to end up at a high school. Every day. For 11 years, every day. And there was some hard work there. Those facilities, and they're needed. Trust me, guys, they are very much needed. But it was a lot of hard work, a lot of restraints, laying on a floor, holding a kid down because he can't help himself. A lot of hard work. For 11 years, I did that. I kept coaching. I kept working my way up. Before I knew it, I was an administrator at that residential facility. Grinding. And every day, not one day did I not say to myself, you were going to end up coaching at a school and working at a school. And these guys will tell you, 2023, that happened. I was hired at Concord Carlisle as their lead safety security guy, and I was coaching at Concord Carlisle High School. So that lady at the unemployment office can kiss my butt. Nobody cares. Stand alone, man. And I'm not up here like, hey, look at me, be me. It's not. What it is trauma's hard. Life's hard. The other part of this, remember I told you I wanted you to take from this, like, you don't know what other people are carrying. To be your best version of yourselves, be nice, right? That's what this message is. But the other side of it too is, do not ever let anybody else write your story. Don't ever let anybody write your story. You write your story. That's what I'm talking about today, guys. I wrote my own story. It took a lot. There were a lot of ups and downs. There were a lot of years where it didn't look like it was going to end up where I needed it to be. But 5-year-old Derek, 6-year-old Derek, who was raising himself, who was in that basement of that foster home, is still right here. And I will never let anybody write my story. I write my story. That's the other part of this, guys. Write your own story. The music would be great, Troy. All right. burning of the shoe. We're almost home, boys. We're almost home. The burning of the shoe. So, mostly football guys in here. I don't know, from a, slug like myself from Central Mass, burning of the shoe we did every year. When I got to Concord, they kind of do it, but not really. But what is the burning of the shoe? The actual burning of the shoe. Now, by the way, quick side note. I like the side note, sorry. But this shoe we were burning in a parking garage in the city of Worcester. Back in COVID, city guys might know this. I don't know if we have any city guys or not, but it sucked for the city. All the cities. Boston, Worcester, Springfield, Lawrence. COVID really sucked. We got told no all the time. There were other schools, literally Shrewsbury High School from Worcester Voc is not even 2 miles. It's not even 2 miles. Those dudes are out on their practice field. We're being told you can't even be together. That's what it was like. But every barrier they put in front of me with that team, I said, we're gonna find a way. And we did. We were in a freaking parking garage doing this. You don't want me inside? Okay. It's raining out? Okay. Let's go to the garage. We practiced there. We had full-on practices in the parking garage. But the burning of the shoe. So the burning of the shoe is that last practice each year. You circle everybody up at the end of that practice, and you have each senior come forward. So we would do that. We would light the shoe. And each senior comes forward, and they really reflect on what high school football meant to them, how it impacted them. And so I don't know, it was 2016, I think. And I was coaching at Westboro High School at this time. And we were burning the shoe. Another year's coming to an end. And I'm sitting there thinking, things are okay now. We're back on our feet. This is previous to me. I'm still working at JRI, which is the youth services place. But things are good. Like I told you, every day I'm going to make it. I'm going to do this. And so that particular day, that particular moment that we were burning the shoe in 2016, it hit me. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it every day. Every day I'm going to burn the shoe. And guys, I'm not talking I don't kick off a shoe every day and burn, I don't got a bag of shoes in the shed. But every day I do burn the shoe. And so this is a me thing. It's an individual thing. It's for me. My wife isn't involved in this. Nobody is. And I can do it, hey, I'm out on the patio having a fire and a few beers. I'm in the living room. I'm going to go up to bed. Or I can do it right laying in bed. But every day, I burn the shoe. No matter what that day looks like, I burn the shoe. And it's really hey, where are you right now? Where are you in your life? And for me, it really sort of started to go to this. What was my impact? Sammy Duca. I remember Sammy. What was my impact? That's what the burning of the shoe became for me. I did it last night, and I'll do it tonight. It's self-reflection. What was my impact on the day? Not just for me, for other people. It could be simple. Some lady, she had a bunch of stuff in her hands, and so I went and helped her. That's impact, man. The guy cleaning up the calf, Some kid left a bunch of crap on the table. Go over and help the guy out. That's impact. That's impact. Some kid in your class, he don't play sports, right? He's not a sports guy. Doesn't look like he's really, socially good in the school. Hey, what's up, man? How's your day? How you doing? That's impact. So burning of the shoe, I do it every day. And it really kind of normalizes for me being nice. I know that sounds a little goofy, but if you really just look at it like that, instead of using big words when I do these presentations, I want to be real. I want to be authentic. You can get some psychologists to do this stuff, or you can get somebody like me who had to live it. What was my impact on others? That's the burning of the shoe. And I do it every night, guys. Every night. Otto, you want to put the lights? Please. All right. So I figured we could turn the lights on for this so we can really see each other. Nowhere to hide. So the burning of the shoe, like I said, that's sort of the last chapter of this. From that Friday Night Live, 6 years old, all the way to where I'm at now. Burn the shoe. So like I like to end this, and again, I get it. Nobody wants to be that guy. But the way I like to end this is a Q&A. So ask questions. And like, listen, I know nobody wants to be like, hey guy, like you don't even know me. But even if it's some sort of, like, hey, do you still talk to your dad? Whatever it is. Like, if you have a question, even a comment, I would love to do that now. And then we'll go eat. So anybody want to start it? And if we don't do it, it's fine. I totally get it. Like, it can be awkward. But even the simplest question, comment. Go.
What position did you play when you played football?
So I was corner safety and a horrible, and when I tell you horrible split end, I mean horrible. I couldn't stock block. It's probably why I ended up a defensive guy. You want a quick story to that? 1993, my senior year, fall. And Marlboro-Hudson is one of the longest running rivalries in the state. And that year, 93, it's the coldest game on record. Notice how I'm building the excuse here. The coldest game on record. And of course, Dutchie Holland, who I got to coach with for 2 years, my high school coach, God bless him, decides he's going to onside kick, opening. Like, it was literally at the Morgan Bowl in Hudson. It was like playing on concrete. We all go down everyone came up like road rash. But anyway, wide open. And when I tell you I was wide open, I don't mean like by 15 yards. There wasn't anybody near me for like 40 yards. I have the DVD. And every year in the city of Marlboro, on their cable channel, they play the past games. And every year some asshole has to see it. But I mean, I am like bare ass wide open. Boom. Dropped it. Again, trauma. I got through it, man. I got through it. Anybody? I saw some hands. Yeah.
I was wondering, what was your relationship like with your brother when you guys were in foster homes and stuff?
I freaking love this question. So I love my brother. We're completely two different people. And just so you guys know, like, trauma can be different for everybody. Like, you could lose your dog and be like destroyed. And then somebody else could lose their dog and be like, yeah, well, we're going to get another dog in 2 weeks. Right? That's what trauma is. My brother and I went through the same exact stuff, two totally different responses. It was tough for me and my brother. Real tough. My brother would run from everything. Like I told you, remember, he'd disappear all the time. But what he would do too is he would self-sabotage. So we'd be at a place doing okay. Uncle Bobby and Aunt Chiquita lived on Lake Boone in Hudson. They had cash, man. Like we had dirt bikes, like things were good. But my brother, he sabotaged it. He would do that to several different placements. He even went to my Uncle Danny and Aunt Melissa's and didn't make it. He sabotaged that. He wasn't getting me that time. I'm writing a book. It's very hard because I didn't go to college. So like, this summer I've been writing a book, and there's a whole chapter in there on me and my brother. And like, I mean, Holmes would like legit try to make our life miserable. And he didn't mean it. It's how he was dealing with trauma. So like, he would lie. This one placement I was talking to you guys about, and like, it was a horrible placement. We went from like Home Alone, then the state took us from there. This dude was military, this uncle. We had to like make our bed, military fold. He would have to come in. If that bitch wasn't tight enough, it was like he'd rip it over. You had to do it again. He lied about something stupid. He wouldn't come off of that like, hey, dude, just tell him the truth. He wouldn't, and it was something totally stupid. So these two people, this aunt and uncle, decided, okay, we're gonna teach you a lesson. They got the biggest spoon in the house, filled it with Tabasco. We were each gonna have to do a hit of Tabasco. My brother's the one lying. He's the one lying. I had no idea why he wouldn't just fess up to what he did. So now we're getting punished. You would think this dude, all right, I'll go first, since he knew he was lying. No, yeah, you go first. Boom, I hit the thing, and needless to say, he never had to take the Tabasco. But again, trauma, and what do? We get to Uncle Danny's house. He was again trying to sabotage us, and now I'm pissed. I'm ready to fight this dude now. Like I'm ready to put hands. And my uncle said, hey, he goes, I believe you. You got to get him to admit it, right? He doesn't have to tell me. You tell me. I'm like, I'm telling you. He's like, no. Didn't I buy you a boom box? And some of you guys, I don't know if you remember, like 80s and 90s, you had the boom box. No, you don't remember the boom box? Damn. Anyway, Frank, thank God you came today, brother, okay? Thank God, man. But we literally bugged my room. So the boom boxes back then, you could unplug the speaker, plug it into the microphone, and we had cassettes, which none of you know what are. And you could record. You know, most people would record off the radio and get the songs. I bugged my room. This 1,000% happened, guys. I bugged my room. My brother came in. I was like, dude, what the? And he admitted it to me. Yeah, but I'm not telling him. I'm not dealing with it. He walks out of my room. I go over, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I got this dude. I said, yo, I got the tape. I go, hey, you can go tell Uncle Danny or I will. I put it in. He looked right at me. You motherfucker. And so that's our relationship. It's been that way forever. Like, I love the kid. I think he loves me too. But yeah, it's not like, it's complicated. You know how hey, you still dating that girl? Yeah, it's complicated. My brother and I love the kid, always will. I'd do anything for him, but it's complicated. Anybody else?
What, if any, relationship do you have with your folks, Derek?
So, you want to talk about complicated? All right, we'll go with my father real quick because that's easy. So, he's still incarcerated. He'll die in prison. When I was like 21, I went and saw him. And he was at that point, he was, bitching out, basically claiming like mental health, and that's why he killed the woman. So they had him at Bridgewater State, which was, it's kind of like a hospital, but it's also a prison. But then he could only have that card for so long. But when I went and first saw him, it was I wasn't ready, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I went and saw him, whatever. It kind of felt like more like a favor to him because nobody was going to see this dude. So like he got to see me, hug it out, blah, 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 right? And then as I became a man and I started to hear like he was writing like letters to my sisters that weren't very, very nice. So I said, all right, mother. I put a suit on. I drove down. Now he's at Norfolk. And he's still there. It's a medium security prison here in Massachusetts. I had a suit on. They all thought I was a lawyer. He comes out, and you're meeting in common areas down there. It's like, you're not like what you guys see on like TV and shit, like behind glass. And like I'm sitting at a table with this dude. And I said, get close to me. Get real close. And so it didn't go great. I basically let him know what I thought of what he did, and then let him know that he should now cease and desist writing those letters and trying to get into my sister's lives or my life. It's a wrap. And that's the last time I saw him. My mother, far more complicated. Far more complicated. She's still alive. She lives in Marlboro. It's just too bad. Like she still struggles, not so much with substance abuse and alcohol anymore, but man, she's just, if I can be honest, like a really selfish, greedy, miserable person. And it's hard to say that to you all, but like that's the truth. If there's one thing I do, like I learned like all that stuff, like talking about my brother and all the stuff that's happened in my life, I 1000% will not lie. I don't, like, Otto asked me something, I'm gonna tell him. And so the truth is no, I don't have a good relationship with my mother. It was always up and down. She's a like poor me kind of person, and I'm not that, so it just doesn't work out. I think the last time I spoke to her was like almost 4 years ago. And like, you know, I'm by no means like shut the door and like, I'll never talk to her again. It's not that. Like she called me, and I'll leave the story out because you guys probably want to eat at some point. But either way, she called me. She was being a real nasty person. And so I calmly said, hey, I'm away right now. When I can, I'll deal with you. And I hung up. And I kind of decided, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to deal with you. So that's where that's at. Anybody else? No? No?
Thank you, Coach.
Go.
Picture with Coach Robbins, probably the best way to do it would be like lined up, maybe kitty corner it over there, and get people lined up here. I'll take the picture. Maybe some people can be up here, be on their knees. Foyer, you're good at that.
Great talk, Coach.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Someone's